people completely underestimate the level of security of the Bitcoin network. In order for any entity to take over 50% plus of the network, you would need to have such a mind-blowing quantity of energy that, that entity would basically control the world by far if that was possible. And if China, with all of its efforts and its almost endless resources, is completely unable to even threaten Bitcoin network, I don't think that any other country in the world willing to ban Bitcoin would manage to do anything to it. The only thing you can do is ban yourself from profiting from Bitcoin. You can ban your own citizen from profiting from the future of Bitcoin. The same way you can ban your citizen from using the internet, like North Korea has done. Well, does it make them better? Well, it's just you're removing one technology, one life-changing technology from reaching people in your population and from using it as a member of this global scene. Well, you can do two things. Either you can invest in companies, or you can put your money in Bitcoin, with an expected rate of return of roughly 50% per year on average over a period of time of more than 4 years. The first option, so investing in companies, you need to understand that you need to be at least better than Bitcoin to even be worth considering. And actually, since the companies has a lot more risk, you need to be a lot better than the expected return of Bitcoin to be able to compete with the simple investment just putting your money in Bitcoin.
Thomas Jeegers uncovers why Bitcoin remains unstoppable, even under the harshest scrutiny. From financial risks to global bans, he dismantles every argument against Bitcoin and reveals its unparalleled potential.
There are multiple types of non-financial risks that, let's say, people talk a lot about, but that actually, when you look into them, are completely irrelevant. The common ones are, for example, what is the risk that, a 51% attack? So basically that one big entity with enormous mining power, so let's say computer processor, so many computer processing power, could take over the network and mine blocks faster than the rest of the network. So that's one of the topics you hear a lot, and people completely underestimate the level of security of the Bitcoin network. In order for any entity to take over 50% plus of the network, you would need to have such a mind-blowing quantity of energy that, that entity would basically control the world by far if that was possible. If you could put together all the processing power of Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft together and use them exclusively to attack the Bitcoin network, well, they would still not even make 1% of the processing power on the Bitcoin network. So even all of these big institutions would come nowhere near the ability of threatening the Bitcoin security. In addition to the fact that it's actually definitely not in their incentive to spend billions of dollars to just temporarily be able to mine blocks a bit faster than the rest of the network, which at the end of the day will not bring them anything. Or maybe they would mine a few blocks, but that's peanut compared to the value of the network. So not only is it technically impossible, but on top you have game theoretical incentives that make it irrelevant to even try. So that's one of the non-financial risks that people are mentioning. What is the risk that Bitcoin is banned? And in order to address that one, I would like to take one historical example. China that is known to, when they make decisions, they are rather strong in it, and they make it happen, with full force, not really caring about things such as, human rights or other, let's say, side effects of their big decisions. And when China decided to ban Bitcoin the first time, of course, nothing happened to the Bitcoin network. Then they decided to ban it again, I think it was 2017, nothing happened. Then they banned it again in 2021, this time much more strictly by banning mining, banning any company to work on any crypto asset in China. And there you saw a very temporary drop in the hash rate because many Chinese miners actually stopped their operation in China, moved elsewhere, and continued mining from elsewhere. And just 3 or 4 months after the big ban of China, you had the Bitcoin hash rate, so the security of the network, that was back to an all-time high. Now, China has proved one thing with this historical example, is that even when you have one of the most powerful countries in the world enforcing a very strict rule to ban something, well, they are not able to make any difference. And if China, with all of its efforts and its almost endless resources, is completely unable to even threaten a Bitcoin network, I don't think that any other country in the world willing to ban Bitcoin would manage to do anything to it. The only thing you can do is ban yourself from profiting from Bitcoin. You can ban your own citizen from profiting from the future of Bitcoin. The same way you can ban your citizen from using the internet, like North Korea has done. Well, does it make them better? Well, it's just you're removing one technology, one life-changing technology from reaching people in your population and from using it as a member of this global scene. So that's again just another non-financial risk that is often talked about, and it's a fair concern to have. Upon investigating it, it's completely irrelevant. Security is an instrument where you have an entity behind it, a person or an institution or a group of people that have undue influence on the protocol, that have influence to change what the value of that asset is. Compared to a commodity, it is just there. You don't have any person or group that can influence it. At the same way, gold, I mean, you can have some people with a lot of gold, but no matter what one person or institution or company thinks about it, they are not going to change the characteristics of gold, or they are not going to change fundamentally what it is. And Bitcoin, in that respect, is very similar to gold in the sense that it is a commodity. It is independent from the influence of any centralized institution or person. And that also makes Bitcoin very different from any other crypto asset, which they are all to some level centralized, to some level dependent on the group of people. People saying, hey, let's change from proof of work to proof of stake, and making that happen, or canceling transaction, or these kind of things cannot happen for Bitcoin, which makes it a truly unique, robust, independent commodity.
Traditional finance often labels Bitcoin as risky due to its volatility, but Jeegers argues this definition is misleading. While fiat currencies like the dollar may appear stable, they silently erode purchasing power over time. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, though volatile, protects long-term value. He also tackles the fear of government bans, highlighting how even China's strict attempts to outlaw Bitcoin failed to dent its network. Jeegers further emphasizes Bitcoin's neutrality. It operates without bias, serving as a universal asset free from political or corporate interference. With institutional adoption growing, Bitcoin is solidifying its place as the foundation of a fair and transparent financial system. Keep watching to uncover how Bitcoin's unique properties set it apart from every other financial asset.
There are some, let's say, side effects of Bitcoin that are very attractive, like the fact that if you invest in Bitcoin, well, you are increasing your wealth drastically, which obviously is something you will not easily say no to. But what really speaks to me about Bitcoin is not that. It's the fact that it's the genuine independent asset, genuinely neutral. So it is not something that can be corrupted. It is not something that can be used for political ends. So it is not racist. It is not for men or for women. It is not for Americans or for European or for Africans. It is a genuinely neutral commodity, which I believe is precisely the kind of thing that we need to bring us together and reset the base of the entire financial system. The US dollar is used as global reserve currency, so there are many other countries that are using US dollar as their currency or as base to give value to their currency. Therefore, when the Federal Reserve is printing more dollars, I mean, they are creating some inflation locally, but they are also creating inflation outside of their country. But obviously, the dollars that they are printing, they are using them, for the US interest, not for, the African countries using the US dollar, or for the South American countries doing the same. So it is a way for the US to export their inflation. In other words, it is a way to politicize, monetary network, to use it to their advantage, basically exploiting countries that are already in need, countries that are already poor, taking even more wealth from them and accumulating it in the hands of the already wealthy nations. Now, Bitcoin is completely changing this game game and setting a new base for every nation to be able to prosper from a clean slate, from without having this big country or institution taking advantage of them. And I think that creating this strong base for the world to build upon is the way how to build a strong society for the future. So that's how I see Bitcoin and the most transformational aspect of Bitcoin. And I think this is a great way to think about it, because this is the asset that will maintain its value best, or actually, since we are so early in the space, that will most likely increase in value massively over a long period of time of 20 plus years, and therefore will strengthen the long-term prospect of this company. Now, not only these companies with future liabilities have a strong interest in buying Bitcoin, you also have, let's say, much more regular and traditional SMEs that are adding Bitcoin to their treasury through Relay. Well, you can do two things. Either you can invest in companies, or you can put your money in Bitcoin, with an expected rate of return of roughly 50% per year on average over a period of time of more than 4 years. The first option, so investing in companies, you need to understand that you need to be at least better than Bitcoin to even be worth considering. And actually, since the company has a lot more risk, you need to be a lot better than the expected return of Bitcoin to be able to compete with the simple investment of just putting your money in Bitcoin. So from a venture capital perspective, it completely changes the base hurdle rate, because now you have, either you have this company bringing you a lot more than what Bitcoin would bring you on average to compensate for the additional risk, or you just put your funds into Bitcoin. So it definitely increases the bar, and it will force companies to think about new ways of reaching these kind of rates of return, which honestly, given how the economy is going, is just next to impossible to achieve if you are outside of deep tech or Bitcoin itself. You can be in AI and reach that kind of returns like Nvidia, or you can be in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is a revolution in finance. Jeegers highlights its neutrality, independence, and resilience as core reasons it will redefine global economies. As nations grapple with outdated systems and traditional assets lose value, Bitcoin emerges as a hedge against uncertainty and a beacon of financial equality. Governments may try to resist it, but history shows that Bitcoin thrives under pressure. If you're still on the sidelines, now is the time to understand why Bitcoin is unlike any asset we've ever seen.